Good evening. I'd like to call the Monday, March 4th, 2019 Board of County Commissioners meeting to order. And as we normally do, we'll open with our invocation. Commissioner Akmus, if you'll lead us, please, sir.
Sure. Bow with me, if you will. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity that we can come together in our free country. We pray, Lord, that you will lead, guide, and direct all of our actions tonight, and that all of our actions will be pleasing to you. Lord, we pray a special prayer around our first responders, our fire, our police, our EMS, our social workers, and of course, our men and women of our military. We thank you, Lord, for all that you do and all that you've done. In Jesus' name, amen. Join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll begin tonight with item 3, which is opening a public hearing for CZ 2018-009, Poplar Road, Mixed Residential. And Lee, if you'll introduce us to this, please, sir.
Yes, sir. There we go.
Waiting on the IoT.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is that? Dana?
Cancel the meeting. Okay. I'll go sit down. All right. I think we've got these over here that are kind of going. Can you guys see it on your screen? Okay. This is a conditional rezoning request, as you stated, it's 2018-009 Poppin Road, mixed residential. This is a copy of the conceptual plan that was submitted in support of the application. There is a slight change from, I think, what was in your agenda packets. We got it. We didn't get it in time to get those in your packets. The main change being the plan in your packet show 90 single-family dwelling units, and they've dropped that down to 70. So they've reduced that number of single-family dwelling units by 20 units. The main aspects, 264 apartment units, which are on the north side of the property. They're the big brown kind of buildings there. And then 60 townhome units, which are over here on the western side, and 70 single-family dwelling units. To kind of give you some perspective, this is Poplin Elementary School. I don't know if you can see my cursor or not. Poplin Elementary School was just to the east of that. Bonne Terre Village Way, Poplin Road, and then just off the map is the Monroe Expressway. And the overall density is about 6.7 units per acre. There are some conditions that the applicant placed on themselves as part of the application. The apartments will be 24 unit buildings consisting of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. The conditions are exterior materials, which they've conditioned on entirely stone, brick, and hardy board, with the exception of soffits and wrapping boards and trims and eaves, which could be vinyl. It's a general rendering of what the apartments may look like. These are the what the townhome units would generally look like. And then some of the single-family conditions. The minimum building size for the proposed single-family homes would be 1,600 square feet. The exterior materials would be vinyl brick, some brick accents, stone, decorative columns, and then you've got some gutters and fascia and shingles, architectural style shingles. And then some examples, these are some of the two-story examples that the applicant provided. I didn't put every single example that the applicant provided because there was a lot of them, but this is kind of representative of what the applicant's proposing. So these are the two-story units, and then there's a picture of actually what some of the one-story units may look like. These are some pictures of the general area. This is along, the first one top left is along Poplin Road. This is looking toward, off in the distance is Bonne Terre Village, so that's looking kind of toward Bonne Terre Village and Bonne Terre Village Way. Again, this is standing in, I guess the bottom left is looking up the street. So this is a new road that was built as part of the construction of the bypass. So this is looking down toward the intersection of Unionville Indian Trail Road. And this is looking out on the property that is to be developed. And then this is looking kind of up Poplin Road toward Bonne Terre Village. So just a general overview of kind of what the site looks like and some of the road network out there. This property is in unincorporated Union County. It is surrounded on most sides by Indian Trail. Actually, it is surrounded by all sides, because if you were to zoom this map out a little bit, you would see the Indian Trail actually is completely surrounding this general area. Most of these properties are coded as undeveloped, and some of these are coded as underdeveloped, and that just means that they have a single-family home on large acreage, and this is based on the land use plan. General zoning in this area, this is a combination of Union County and Indian Trail zoning. So what's out there mostly is 1 unit per acre. You've got RA 40 in Union County, RSF and SF1 in Indian Trail, and they're all generally 1 unit per acre. You do have a little bit of higher density zoning back in Bonne Terre Village, which is SF5. And again, that's zoned through the town of Indian Trail. And you've got some PUD zoning over here. This is part of the Southgate development, which is also, that was approved through the town of Indian Trail, but it includes some apartments and some single families and some commercial. And there's a new zoning district that was created just to the south of this, and I'll talk about this in a further slide. It's across the street from where Poplin Road intersects Unionville and Indian Trail. It was approved, I think, last Tuesday or Thursday night by the town board, and it was a pretty large-scale rezoning, and I believe it was a PUD zoning as well. Yes, I'm sorry. Good. Thanks, Brian. Along Bonne Terre Village Way, we had a recent rezoning. This is actually R8. Wasn't picked up on our tax records yet. But this was a recent rezoning that the board approved to R8, which was some 99 townhome units. Those significant environmental features directly own the property proposed to be developed. There are a few streams in the nearby area, one just to the south, one just to the east, and then there's a fairly large stormwater pond on the Poppin Elementary School property. This is your transportation map for the area. These lines indicate future conditions. So Unionville Indian Trail Road, future 4-lane with curb and gutter. And Bonterra Village Way, future 2-lane with paved shoulder. And of course, you've got the freeway, which is open right now. That's the Monroe Expressway. We had one traffic count from the 2017 from DOT, which is 5,200 vehicle trips a day on Bonterra Village Way, which was maybe taken when it was Poplin Road. The county's 2025 comprehensive plan, so we've got two plans that cover this area. The first one I'm going to talk about is kind of the 30,000-foot plan. This is the 2025 comprehensive plan that was adopted back in November of 2014. This calls for this area to develop as mixed residential, which is generally a area that anticipates a little bit higher densities than 1 acre, 1 unit per acre. And you've got the neighborhood center. It's a little bit different color orange right there, kind of where the bypass, kind of where the interchange from Indian Trail Fairview Road is. And that's proposed to be a neighborhood center. A lot of that was based on some of Indian Trail's comprehensive planning for that area. There are some approved commercial developments that aren't built yet, but that are approved in that area. So we would anticipate densities to be a little bit higher on the edges of those neighborhood centers, especially in mixed residential. We also have the recently adopted Secrest shortcut small area plan. So this was a very recent plan that was adopted, joint plan that the county and Indian Trail worked on together. And for the most part, this area falls in what was considered to be the high-density residential category, up to 6 dwelling units per acre average. So some areas could be higher, some areas would be lower. And then these yellow areas, which part of the project falls in, are medium density, which averages about 3 dwelling units per acre. The apartments are over here in this high-density development area, and the townhomes kind of stretch into this high density, a little bit of the medium, and then the single families are back here in the medium density residential. We like just to throw this slide in. These are the property owners that were notified. Minimum requirements are you notify the adjacent property owners, but we always like to expand it out a little bit so we get a little bit more participation. So these are the properties that were notified during that process. This is the development that was approved, as I was talking about, that doesn't reflect on the map yet, across the street. So this is Unionville Indian Trail Road. Poplin Road intersects about right there. So the development, the apartments that you're conducting the public hearing on are across the street from this. This is a pretty large-scale development. You have 336 townhomes, 207 single-family dwellings. Some of those are made up of different size lots, but I just totaled that number together. So 207 single families, and then up at the intersection where Poplin intersects Unionville Indian Trail, excuse me, you have 35 acres of approved commercial development. I talked to the planning staff over Indian Trail this morning. There was no really square footages that were associated with this. It was just 35 acres of commercial development. And there was a caveat made. This would have to go back before their town board to be approved as far as the total number and how it looked. But they did have a condition that there was potential for integration of residences above these commercial uses here. So I just wanted you guys to be aware of what was going on across the street. The project that you're hearing tonight is consistent with both adopted plans, is consistent with the land use plan that was adopted in 2014 and the Secrest Shortcut Road Small Area Plan. There was one other piece of information that I wanted to provide to you. We always send these out to the school system for analysis, just to give us some background data. These students that would go to development that you're hearing tonight would go to Poppin Elementary School, Porter Ridge Middle, and Porter Ridge High School. Poppin Elementary is currently at 83% of capacity. Porter Ridge is currently at 94% of capacity, and Porter Ridge High School is currently at 96% of capacity. And the information from the school system goes on to talk about that there's a lot of development that's happening in this area, and that they did have some concerns about future capacity.
Question.
Anyway, yes, sir.
The Indian Trail development was just approved. That doesn't include the impact of that community, does it?
Correct. This was sent to the school system. The school system sent me this on January the 8th, so they did not, that wasn't included, I don't think, in their analysis.
When was that Indian Trail project, when was that approved?
It was last week.
Last week, so
Yes,
that
sir.
was after the planning board
Yes, sir.
had already rendered their decision. So
Yes,
they
sir.
didn't have that information at the time that they made their
They-
decision.
The planning board knew about the development, but they did not know that it had been approved.
Because it had not been approved at that time.
Correct. And that's a good point. Good point. I think I failed to mention that this did go to the Union County Planning Board, and they recommended approval in a unanimous vote.
Based on what they knew at that time.
Yes, sir.
Your question on the going down to 70 lots, is that where the lot dimensions went to 70-foot
Yes, sir.
frontage instead of the 50 they had before?
I believe that there are some that are 65 in this new plan. So I don't think I don't think every single one of them went down to 70. There are a few that are 65s. But they did take it down from 50 is what it was before.
Mr. Chairman. Yes, sir.
Do we have current water and sewer capacity in the Rocky River Basin for this project?
We did send this to Union County Public Works to review. It is my understanding that there are some potential capacity issues out there. But this is at the rezoning level right now, so it would be first come, first serve. As far as, when they submitted those plans and paying their capacity fees, it would be first come, first serve.
So there are capacity issues right there right now.
That's my understanding from Public Works, yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? You have anything else, Lee?
No, sir.
Okay, appreciate it. We have a number of individuals that like to speak at the public hearing. First, we have Mike Head.
If I may, there's a number of people that are not going to speak that are in Indian Trail. If I could just have them stand for a minute, just to let you know what we have in opposition. Thank you. Tonight I'm speaking on behalf of the Indian Trail Town Council. The council opposes this development. In fact, the 264 apartments, I believe I'm correct, if approved, would be the first time that apartments are approved by this commission. And it's inside, it's a donut hole, as we all know, inside Indian Trail. If you look, these apartments are not in character with what we have out there currently. As previous gentleman mentioned, you approved the 99 townhome complex near the intersection of Poplar and Von Terra Way. Another donut hole, which Indian Trail would not have approved, because it doesn't meet our safety requirements. Our ordinance calls for 2 entrances and exits at that level. And they came to you because it was a donut hole and they were able to build it up to 99. When you put all this together with all the new developments, we're looking at over 3,500 types of residents. And we don't have the infrastructure to support it. We've already heard about the water and sewer. Poppin Road is a 2-lane road, 1.7 miles in length, and is not on any schedule to be improved in the near future. During Union County's February Planning Board meeting, the developer talked about sidewalk connectivity as a plus. But as you saw from the pictures, we do have sidewalks going down the west side of Poplin. It stops at, of course, at the Bonterra Parkway, and then there's a stub of about 20 feet that goes beyond there, but stops there. And then the sidewalk doesn't pick up until after you get past Bonterra Boulevard, and then it runs the length down to Fieldstone Farms. So there's really no connectivity on the school side. As was mentioned, the school side is, the school is in pretty good shape, but we actually the council met with the public school officials last meeting, a week ago Tuesday. And they told us, just as was said, but they were saying that we would have to have trailers at especially the high school within the next 2 years. So we have that issue. So again, what we're looking at is the infrastructure doesn't support what we have. What really is upsetting to all of us is like I said, is the apartments. And because it's out of character, we would be willing to look at if it was single-family homes, maybe in a different light. And finally, I've talked to a couple of you about our reliable growth group that includes Weddington, Lake Park, Stallings, and Wesley Chapel, and invite you to join us. This group's working together to build a cohesive Union County that works as one with regards to the NCDOT, CARPO, MPO, and the Silver Line Light Rail, one that is working together to be respectful of our bordering municipalities and creating the right environment for our residents. I would encourage the Union County Commissioners to send representatives to these meetings to build a cohesive Union County respectful of all citizens of Union County. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Mike Smith.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Mike Smith. I'm a councilman for the town of Weddington. I'm here speaking for myself, and my comments are my own. I was here last month speaking to you on a project that was approved for Beulah Church Road. It was a 3-story complex. I think my growing concern here is the increased development that is occurring in the unincorporated Union County that is bordering the municipalities. Along with these projects, there is a change for zoning request to a high-density projects. And as you've heard before, there is infrastructure issues that are a concern to all of us. I know you've heard many times about the roads and the schools, but in fact, it is true. I came out of Waxhaw the other day at 3 in the afternoon, and traffic was backed all the way up to Cusperson Road from the railroad tracks. That's only a small glimpse of what's going to happen and has been happening throughout our county. What I'm asking is the same thing I asked last time I spoke. Is there's very little to no communication between the county and the municipalities. I'm asking us to work together to help build out the county in a more comprehensive way that benefits all of us. I spoke with our planner today, and we are giving the county information on what is being built in Weddington, but we're not getting anything back from the county. So I think that if we work a little bit better together, I think we could probably work through some of these issues. I think that this has to be part of a larger conversation between the county, the municipalities, and DOT. And I'll reference your comments last time, Chairman or Commissioner Simpson. If you're going to have a master plan, you need to follow it, and apparently it's not being followed. So the only thing that we have right now is our protective ordinances, and if you keep changing them, then sooner or later, it's going to have a devastating effect. My fear is that the impact, the negative impact that this is going to have to our towns. Mr. Simpson, I want to thank you for your support last time. I knew you were the lone wolf, but I appreciate your comments and your support towards the town. But folks, let's work together here, because if not, I think we're in for a pitfall here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mike Como?
Mr. Chairman, thank you, Commissioners. Mike Como from Wesley Chapel. Like the two speakers ahead of me, Wesley Chapel wants to support the Indian Trails concerns. I'm not going to go over everything you've already heard about the traffic and the schools. We have land use maps, we have master plans for a reason. If we're not going to follow them, why have them? If every time a developer comes in here and says, I want to do something that I'm not supposed to do, and we allow them to do that, we're going to end up living in a place we don't want to live. And to echo what Mike Smith has already said from Weddington, communication is the key. I too checked with our planning and zoning administrator to make sure that we were communicating with Indian Trail, with Weddington, with any of the neighboring communities, including the county, when we do a development, and we are. But we're not getting reciprocation back from the county, and that concerns me. So I would hope that'd be something you all would work on, or direct the planning and zoning department to have the common courtesy to include us in what goes in our backyards. Thank you.
Thank you. Carolyn Chapman?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Carolyn Chapman. I live in Von Terra in Indian Trail. I am a retired real estate broker and developer, and I've been on both sides of the fence, just so you know a little bit of my background. My concern is with the project, specifically, as Mr. Head said, the apartments. This is a 56-acre tract, and the apartments, if you do the calculation, will take up about 2/3 of that tract. That is not conforming in any way to what you see in the area, and it just doesn't make sense to me as a developer to do it in that way. The other concern I have is about the school systems, and we know for sure in Von Terra that there's going to be 400 additional houses that have already been permitted and are underway. There's another subdivision that's on Faith Church Road that's to have townhomes. That already impacts our school drastically. The high school is at 96%. That's almost full. And then where we go from there. I don't know if the county has plans to build more schools, but right now we're maxing out. So I would just suggest that we back up and look at this a little more seriously than just approving all the developments that come along. This is not the last one that we're going to hear from. Trust me, there's a lot more out there. And I understand that the people want to benefit from the highway. I get that. I love the bypass. I cannot say anything bad about it, but it does bring with it a lot of compromising to the property owners. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, Dana. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce your last name. I'm sorry.
Antonuccio.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm not a developer or a real estate agent or anything. I just live in Annandale, and I'm a resident. I'm a mother. I have kids at the school. I drive down there every day. There is no way that we can handle apartments there. The amount of people, the amount of traffic, the amount of cars, the amount of kids, the amount of strain that it puts on our school, our utilities, the water pressure, we can't handle it. And you know, come live where we live for a week and tell me that you can approve apartments there. We just can't do it. And I want to say that I didn't, before this, I really didn't know how any of this worked, because I never had a reason to really pay attention or get involved. But I have to say that as a newbie to all this, I find it extremely disappointing that we have a unincorporated pocket that's literally surrounded by my town, but yet the people that we elected, our county people, are not the ones that are making the decision on this, and that you're not working with them to say, hey, what do the people want? because it's literally an Indian trail. So I feel like there should be more of a communication with the Indian Trail to find out what we want, because that's who represents us, that's who we speak to on a normal time. So I'm just disappointed that this is all like crazy and we have to come down here and voice this to you after we've already voiced it to our county commissioner. So anyways, I don't want the apartments, we can't handle it, so please, I don't see any issue with the rest of the plan, but please don't approve the apartments for our sakes.
Thank you. Eddie Helms.
Victor, mine's not about that. Can I speak about something different?
So, I'm sorry, sir.
Mine is not about this. Can I speak of something different another time?
Yeah, we'll add your name to the public comments. Okay, thank you. Okay, any questions, comments? Commissioner Rushing?
Oh, go ahead. You go ahead. One thing that was brought up by some of the town councilmen, one thing that we have done in the last couple of months is that the manager has appointed Brian Matthews to be not only over planning but public works as well. So what you're asking for is already in the works. It's coming through. This week we'll be at a planning retreat at Cane Creek Park where we'll be talking about water and sewer and the master plan. Just like with you knowing about the development that you did in our planning department, not knowing about it, that maybe should have gone from somehow up from you guys to the planning department, so they would have known when they made their decision. So I agree that more communication is needed, and that is where we're going. And I think Brian Matthews, as former town manager of Stallings, would be an excellent choice in leading that effort. I am concerned about the utilities, that if we don't have it available at this time. Can you tell me, Lee, if it's available for the subdivision approved by Indian Trail?
No, I'm not sure if it's available for them.
Okay, but it's not available it's available for maybe one or the other, but not both?
I'm not sure. I know that
There's just issues.
I know that there are capacity issues.
Okay, so hopefully that's what we'll get away from, is that when the town comes in and approves a subdivision or apartments or whatever the town has approved, that hopefully we'll know that as well and understand what our capacity issues are. So for everybody who's concerned here tonight, understand that the new county manager, Mark Watson, is working on that, and that's something that this board has been advocating for. So we are looking into the concerns that you've expressed. Thank you.
Commissioner Simpson.
I had a question, maybe Lee can respond, or maybe Brian. Did you not give us information that this was fell in the small area plan there around the intersection?
Yes, sir. So
If I recall, was there not to be some collaboration between those areas impacted, or with regard to these small area plans, was Indian Trail or no one involved in the development of that small area plan?
Yes, sir. So the small area plan was a joint plan that was done by both the county and the town of Indian Trail. It was approved by both boards. And further, on this rezoning, myself and Bjorn, who's another staff member, Bjorn Hansen, actually sat down with Indian Trail staff when this was first submitted and went through the plan, came up with some joint comments and sent those back to the developer. So we did work in tandem with Indian Trail on not only the plan, but with this rezoning. And just to further, we do send, anytime we have a rezoning where a town is adjacent to that rezoning or nearby, we do send that town a notification of the rezoning. And most of the time, if we know the planner, and I know there's some towns that don't have a planner right now, but certainly with Weddington and Wesley Chapel, we do send those planners information regarding those rezonings.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Dr. Singh, would you like to represent the developer? Anyone from the developer like to speak? You're sitting behind somebody tall. I didn't see you back there.
Hi, Mr. Commissioners and staff. My name is Mike Scott. I'm from 4078 Rolling Wood Circle in Rock Hill, South Carolina. And this is our project manager, Savannah Webster. And this is our lead person with our engineering team with American Engineering.
Sarah Shirley.
Oh, Sarah Shirley, yeah, I should have said it. I'm not a good public speaker, so here we go. Typically, I thought we would speak first, so I wouldn't be so nervous about doing it up here with all the folks here. Quick background, I actually worked with York County for 17 years. I was in the zoning, subdivision, and planning office and building and codes. And when I left them 12 years ago, I actually stayed on the ZBA for about 8 years. So I've sat in your shoes, but not to this extent, and realized the hard job that you guys have. We came here roughly a little over a year ago. And the reason we came here indirectly is because Savannah and I actually work at Winthrop College, and we coach a softball team. She's one of the primary coaches, and I'm an assistant to her. So we kind of have a reverse role there. And we recruit players from all over the country. And one of the places that we happen to have some players comes from this area, the Stallings, the Monroe, the Indian Trail, but directly from Porter Ridge. Danielle Chapman, Tara Loken, both have played through our organization. So we'd come watch some ball games here, and we fell in love with the area. When we fell in love with the area, we had done commercial developments. We did a little bit of industrial with some office warehousing. We did the single family, the townhomes, and we got involved into the multifamily. When we got into the multifamily component, that is where we've kind of, that's our sweet spot. We've stayed there. They're luxury apartments. I know in a lot of ways people look at them in a negative light, but they are very, very nice. We've done about 6 communities, and we have some on the lake. We have some infilled in the cities. We have some in the rural areas. When we found this particular area a year ago, we came up to the planning office. We asked if this location would be something that we could put at, and we met the 2 property owners, a barber and a gentleman that worked with concrete. These were the Privets and the Forbes. Great people. When we spoke to them the very first time, they were not interviewing us in regards could we afford to buy it, but they were interviewing us in regards would we do something of quality? Would we do something that hopefully would not have a negative impact to the community? What I shared with them was on the multifamily product is not only would we entitle the property, but we would construct them ourselves. We would lease them up ourselves. We would manage them ourselves. And Savannah and I will be here for the long haul, from day one all the way through until we, I guess, pass it on to our children. I think that was the selling feature, or the only reason they agreed to sell us the property. So we went to work. We met with the staff. We found out about the Secrest shortcut small area plan. We waited for that to be approved. Once we found out that was approved, we had originally submitted a plan that showed roughly 600 units. It was a little less than that. But we adjusted it according to the Secrest plan, and we moved the apartments to the side where the Secrest plan showed the higher density. And thus, I think the staff showed you the townhouse is closer to the area of Union Trail, Unionville Indian Road. Unionville Indian Trail Road, it's a long name. We moved them closer to that, and the single family closer to Bonterra. After we did that, we submitted in the rezoning request. We had a community meeting. We met with many adjacent property owners prior to the meeting, met with some that night. And again, we went back to the drawing board, made some changes. We eliminated a road that got close to one of the adjacent property owners. We removed the lots that were there. We added additional buffering along that particular property line. We increased the buffer along the roads. We add the character to put the fence like Bonterra did, so it would show a similarity to Bonterra. We agreed to a stormwater concern of meeting some additional standards from, I think, Indian Trail ordinances must be more extreme, so we agreed to that, and we put some conditions for the lighting. After we did all this, we went to the Planning Commission. We got approval for that. And then before we came to you, we realized that there was 4 things that were the most concern that we heard from not only staff, but some community members and other people that we talked to. And those 4 things were traffic, 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 and schools. Not necessarily in that order. When we look back at the traffic, we did a TIA before we ever started. It was the first thing we spent money for. They came back, shared with what we needed to do. We adjusted our driveways and added an extra one to get to the one side in accordance to the TIA. And then staff actually had some recommendations, and we agreed to those. And lastly, on the project that is on, again, I'm going to say the name wrong, Unionville Indian Trail Road, we were told to coordinate with them to make sure that the traffic could get out of there and would not impede the people as much as possible. We have talked to the developer that's there. They are required to put in a signal light. They're going to make the road a 4-lane road all the way to the toll road, and as staff said, it will actually extend onto their property as well. With that, we feel like we have done everything that we can to help limit the impact with the traffic, and we feel like the project should hopefully not be as much inconvenience as could possibly be. In regards to the schools, the reason we made the second change tonight was directly because of that. On the apartments, again, these are 3-story brick, stone, hardy board, very expensive, 9-foot ceilings, granite countertops, stainless steel appliances, etc. Has a business office, it has garages, it has a swimming area, fitness center, dog park, etc. The people that go to these particular establishments, they consist of 4 types. Singles, and I shared this at the Planning Commission. Savannah, who's single, came from Las Vegas. She moved down here. She lives in an apartment now. I picked her up from there when we came over here. It's very nice. And these are the type people that these apartments draw. The high schools that don't go to college, or the college grads that are just starting their first time at work. They want to live close to home. They want to be somewhere in the city. They don't know where they want to be. So they go to these places to live. And Savannah is that typical person that does that. For the record, I had mentioned at the Planning Commission that she was single by choice. She assured me after the meeting that was a fact. I wanted to put that on the record. The second type of people happens to be Sarah. The younger couples, just starting families. Typically, if they have children, they're under the age of 5, and they're living there until they can find the place that they want to build their nice home and stay wherever they want to and start their family. The third people are people like me, empty nesters. We don't want the property tax, we don't want the maintenance. And the fourth types of people are divorces. There's a lot of divorces. It's a sad thing, but just true. In most of our projects, we have probably 20–30% of the people there are divorces, where mom and dad, who currently live where they live, have a divorce, and the one parent moves and they want to stay as close as they can to where their children currently go to school. So with that, my point is, and there's documentation on it, there's research done on it, I can send you anything you'd like to on that, but with in regards to multifamily project, they have a very low impact on the schools in relationship to typical single-family type developments. I did do a research on my last one, which is 240 units in the Clover District, and out of that, there are 17 high school kids that go there. 10 happen to be from divorces. That leads us to the single-family component. We went out and looked very hard to try to figure out, should we go to an age-targeted type community? Should we go to an age-restricted community? And we found a gentleman by the name of Mike McGee. He's building some brick home ranch style, 1.5-story type product right around the corner from us. I think it's called Crooked Creek. And his product is, it generates a low type of educational function. In other words, most of the family members that come there do not have kids. It's not a guarantee or anything of that nature. It just happens to be the way it works. Met with Mike, asked him if he would like to consider joining with us. We've only done it this past week. We haven't been able to ink the I's, dot the T's, but he is sending me an LOI. I immediately changed the plans to 70-footers. His product is a much larger one on the ground since they're all ranches. All the lots shown are 70-footers, but I did ask them to put a 65-foot requirement in instead of 50. And the reason I did the 65, some of his product is 53 feet. We also incorporated a 10-foot setback. So what we're hoping to do is once he shows where his homes will be specifically, he could adjust some of the lots to drop down under 70, but make the other one bigger to be 74, 75 feet, so that he could get his 53-foot product on it. So the number of lots will not change. The 10-foot setback for each side will be in place, but the homes themselves give him a little flexibility to have a larger product to get his 53-footer on there. Last but not least, like I said, we'll be here from the ground floor up. This will have a really good economic impact in regards to, we are very conscious of using local vendors, local subs. Our flooring guy happens to be from this area, RE Flooring. He'll do all our hardwoods, all our carpeting. I'm speaking of the multifamily component. He will do all our linoleum and anything that has to do with the flooring. We've talked to Mike McGee about brickwork, so we may not do the stone on the building, but maybe use brick just because he's a local guy. There's several other renderings of the apartments in there as well, but they're all very similar. Also, we will use concrete guys from this area all the way up to the finished product. Not everyone will be from this area, I'm not saying that, but we will be conscious of that. Once we get them built, we still need to have the insurance companies and the attorneys and the surveyors and all the other kinds of things that take place during the construction that we would deal with locally. But more importantly, we will hire 8 to 10 permanent employees. Chances are they will come from this area. Chances are they'll be the sons and daughters that want to be a manager, assistant manager, a maintenance guy, the pool guy, and so on and so forth, all the way down to cleaning the buildings and doing the things like landscaping and the other issues that come with a project of this size. With all that that I'm sharing with you, I'm saying this for the public here, we did not do this without taking in consideration not only what we felt like you guys would want to see, but more importantly, we made concessions that people that go to Indian Trail, forgive me for saying this, are not making. We are trying to look at the situation of making sure we have the least amount of impact, have the least inconvenience, and look out for Union County as a whole. And I do feel like if you really evaluate it and look at it, the taxes that this will create will more than offset the impact that this will make, because in most of the cases we are self-contained. And hopefully on the school situation, that is a problem. It's going to be a problem, and we feel like you allowing us to, you guys controlling what we're doing is going to be much better than a development that's coming in that doesn't have the control of your planning staff and you guys to look at it in the eyes that you guys look at it. I think I've talked way too much. Do you guys want to say anything?
No, I think just open the question.
If you have any questions, we're glad to try to answer them.
Commissioner Rushing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You heard about the capacity issues with utilities. You've heard about the concerns from the neighbors about the apartments. If this plan would go forward without apartments, or if it were single-family homes or just lots with single-family homes, like similar to across the street, what would that do to you? Would that, because again, what if you built one apartment or two apartments and found out there's no more capacity and you had to wait years to build another apartment? Please.
We actually had an initial meeting with Public Works. I met with Jonathan Drasnich. I'm going to butcher his name. And actually half of the site flows in one direction, half of the other. Poplin is kind of a ridge along the property. So actually where the apartments are located is in a slightly better position, because that existing or that recently rezoned property that's across the street from us extended the water and sewer, specifically is the concern, the sewer, up to Poplin Road. So we're actually able to access and tap into that existing system. So the capacity concern wasn't for the apartment side, it was more for the townhome single-family side, and it was basically just if you get in after other developments, you may have to do some regional improvements. But in terms of capacity issues, we were told it was not a concern for the half of the site that contains the apartments.
Right, but it's all in the Rocky River Basin, so it's a basin issue that we're looking at too.
Correct. And we were basically from that initial conversation, you know, we sat down with the planners, with the public works staff, and that's what we came up with during that meeting.
If also, Mr. Akins, to add to it, we understand that other development is coming. So we are prepared to go through the entire process for all of the development, get the proper permits, pay the capacity fees, get the permitting done for everything at once, as there still is capacity. But eventually, as you stated, or as it's been stated, things have to be changed, and we want to make sure that we get ours done under the current standards, and we were told we would be able to do that as long as we applied for everything at once. I just wanted you to be aware of that.
Any other questions? Sorry, Brian.
Just so the board has all the information. So while we were notified there were certainly some issues with capacity, as Commissioner Rustin pointed out, we'll be discussing that in more detail tomorrow and in the next few days. There are, however, some plans, if the board moves forward, to accommodate capacity in the future. The board moves forward with those projects, as well as this area here is actually sort of serviced by two different plants. One drains to Crooked Creek, goes to that treatment plant. Another part of it actually goes to the 12 Mile Creek, and it really depends on where the service area is. So it's my understanding that the Indian Trail project would actually go to the, I believe, the Crooked Creek. Let me make sure I'm correct. That's right. Yeah, we go to the Crooked Creek side, and this project would likely go to the 12 Mile Creek side. And I may have that backwards, but they flow to different areas. So I didn't want you to misunderstand that there is an opportunity to correct capacity issues. Those have not been finalized.
And, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, and that would be the $15 million upfit on the Poplin Road plant?
There is a
Pump station.
Rework, yes, sir. I believe that is the project we're talking about.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. I just want to make sure you're aware of that.
Any further questions? Appreciate your presentation, and I appreciate you working with us. That what wasn't pointed out, we challenged his 90 houses and the width of the lots, and you immediately came back with the 70-foot, which accommodated our request, and we appreciate that.
Thank you. And if this project does get denied, we do understand. If you do end up approving it, we are committed to work very hard with Union County. It's a great place to be. Thank you very much.
Thank you. No further discussion. I will close the public hearing. And next we have our informal comments. And Mr. Helms, this is your time.
Thank you. I noticed you had no problem with that name.
No, not at all. I've got that down pat.
My name's Eddie Helms. I'm a native of Monroe, North Carolina. I've been gone for 40 years and just recently moved back. I'm here tonight to represent litter busters of Union County. And I've been noticing since I've been back just the tremendous amount of trash beside our roads. Kind of looked into it from the Department of Transportation, and we've gotten some good feedback from DOT. But our mission is really at this point in time is fourfold. One is to inform the public, and that's one of the reasons I'm here, to let everybody know about our existence. And hopefully you'll go on Facebook and like us. It's Union County, it's Litter Busters of Union County, North Carolina. So if you do that, we'd certainly appreciate that. But what we'd like to do is we'd like to inform the public, We'd like to further the education through schools, through civic organizations, newspapers, radio, TV, and social media, and kind of get the word out there that Union County is a beautiful place to live. And all the litter that's accumulating beside our roads, and if you haven't noticed that, please take notice of it in the daylight, because it truly is in some places just overwhelmingly bad. And we understand that DOT has changed their policy about how they're going to deal with this. They have now hired a private group to go around and do the areas of the county. They have not hit all those areas yet because of the amount of rain we've had, but hopefully they'll get around to those. But that's the reason I'm here, to kind of make this public. So I just wanted to say thank you very much. We look forward to working with our municipalities and make Union County a more beautiful place to live with less litter on our streets.
We appreciate your time, and if you will examine item 13 on our consent agenda, we've got an agenda item that is addressing the litter situation that Loretta's been bringing to us. So,
all right, thank you very much.
you.
I appreciate it.
Commissioner Ray?
I was going to talk about that too, Mr. Helms. They're actually doubling, we're to vote on it tonight in consent agenda. If you show up at the landfill without your trash covered, the dumping fee will be twice, I believe, double. So we're going, we're very aware and we appreciate what y'all do. And
thank you.
We're taking steps as fast as we can. So.
Good. We appreciate any help you can give us, and we're certainly there to support you too.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Are you a Helms or a Helms?
Well, you know what that is. No, my parents worked for a
Oh, okay. You're Helms, okay. All right. Next item will be additions, deletions, and adoption of the agenda. Do we have any items that we need to? Can I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next will be our consent agenda. Can I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve consent.
Okay, there's a motion to approve. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Takes us to old business, which we have none targeted, and new business. So, Mr. Manager, would you like to give us your comments tonight?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman and members of the board, tonight I have several items to bring to your attention. First, I would like to recognize several individuals that are being honored by the Union County Weekly newspaper as part of Women's History Month during March. The newspaper selected 50 women who are community leaders in positions of influence in Union County. Among them are several associated with Union County government. In alphabetical order, they are Julie Broom, the Human Resource Director, Crystal Gilliard, who is the Register of Deeds, Michelle Lancaster to my left, Deputy County Manager, Ashley Lance, who's with us in the audience, is Social Services Director, and Nina Meadows, who's our Public Library Director. So congratulations to these ladies for being recognized as individuals who are community leaders and do influence a great deal within our county and within our organization and improve our quality of life here, and we certainly appreciate the work that y'all do. Secondly, this week I had the privilege to attend a Division of Public Health employee meeting. And in that meeting, I met our new dentist, Dr. Crow. So I would like to recognize, and she's not with us tonight, but I'd like to recognize and welcome Dr. Candace Crow to Union County in the Union County Division of Public Health. Dr. Crow is a dentist that has joined us in the month of February to operate and manage Union County's state-of-the-art dental clinic that's located in the new Human Services building. The dental clinic will begin operations in early April and is currently being equipped and the support staff is being hired If you've not had a chance to tour that dental clinic facility, please take the opportunity when you're over at the Human Services Building to tour that. It's quite impressive. When it's fully operational, it'll provide affordable dental services on an income-based fee scale to both adults, which is not common under public health dental services, and children starting at the age of 1 year. The services include consultations, x-rays, cleaning, extractions, fluoride treatments, fillings, sealants, stainless steel crowns for juvenile teeth, and partials and dentures, which I thought was rather interesting. I didn't realize that they provided those services, but it's quite impressive, and we're glad to have Dr. Crow with us in that capacity. Third, the board will be in a strategic planning retreat for the next 3 days at the Lakeside Lodge located inside Cane Creek Park. To find the Lakeside Lodge, you please use the campground entrance located at 5301 Cane Creek Road in Waxhaw. And once inside, there'll be signs, and park staff will be there to direct both you and members of the public that are trying to find the location of the Lakeside Lodge. Mr. Barry Gullett will be facilitating the discussion of water and sewer topics. And unfortunately, a lot of the individuals who spoke about that tonight are not here right now. But Barry will be facilitating that discussion, including a review of the existing master plan and a process for aligning staff work with the board's strategy and expectations. The sessions on Tuesday and Wednesday begin with a meet and greet at 9 a.m. The work session begins at 9:30 a.m. and the day ends at 5 p.m. On Thursday, the session will begin at 9:30 a.m. and will end at 1 o'clock p.m. The general public is invited to attend. The meeting will also be streamed live via the internet, and for additional information, additional information about streaming the meeting from the internet can be found on the Union County webpage. And lastly, I'd like to make an announcement about an upcoming organizational change. This is a change that was not foreseen, and I announce it with mixed emotions. This morning, Michael James was named the new county manager for Lenoir County, North Carolina, and we congratulate him on his appointment. Michael will be leaving our organization in April to take on this new and exciting opportunity. Lenoir County is an up-and-coming part of eastern North Carolina and close to the area where Michael grew up. As I've said, when I announced our organizational changes early in February, I had a clear purpose for improving the reporting structure to make Union County government more open, more effective, and more accountable, and I stand behind that purpose. While this announcement was not what I had in mind when the organizational changes were announced, as Michael can attest to, I know that with any organization transition, things do not always go as you expect. Michael is a valued public servant, and I'm thrilled that he has another opportunity to take his talents and share them with another organization in a part of the state that he feels personally connected to. We will miss him, and I want to personally thank you, Michael, for your counsel and commitment to me as I transitioned into this role. I hope you're fortunate enough to have the same in Lenoir County. Michael is committed to stay with us for the next several weeks as our management team transitions in a seamless manner. I tend to work with both Michelle and Brian to ensure the organization moves through the change with no disruption. The assistant county manager position will be posted for recruiting tomorrow morning. We will work to identify a candidate that fits our structure and the expectations. And Michael has set a very high bar as far as the expectations for anyone coming into that role. As you know well, Michael has a wonderful personality and has really been working well with our volunteer fire departments and our municipalities. We have a plan to continue that wonderful relationship, and we don't plan to let that languish. So please join me in congratulating Michael on his new adventure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Commissioner Akins,
No comments.
Commissioner Rushing,
No comments.
Commissioner
No
Simpson,
comments this evening.
Commissioner Ray.
I'll just have one. Michael, I hate your leaving. Couldn't be happier for you. I think, I don't know if I was really that funny, but you always made me think I was funny. So, I'm very happy for you, that's all.
Well, just a couple of things. I can tell you that Manager Watson hit the ground running. I think one of the first places he went is met with the town manager of Indian Trail, because his focus has been to increase that communication with the municipalities as was requested by some today. He's steps ahead, and I know that I personally, I meet with many of the mayors, and I'll continue that communication. So we look forward to working, and I know Lee and Brian, your staff, have that continued communication. And I know that I went down to Lee today and asked some questions. He had it off the top of his head because he had already been communicating with the town. But I appreciate what you do there. Michael, I'm excited for you. I'm disappointed that you're not going to be here to help us resolve this fire situation. All I hear is accolades from the fire community about how you've worked with them and how you presented. So Lenore County is lucky, and we knew it was going to happen. We just kind of hoped it wouldn't happen so soon. But congratulations, and thank you for all you've done for us. No other comments? Motion to adjourn?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.